used to wear jester clothes, which made the whole thing really quite bizarre.
Yes, okay.
But anyway, it was great fun. We did a couple of performances, once for the university and once for schools. And I took, just moving forward, I took the exam. I hoped to get a first, but again, I'm afraid my lack of breadth of knowledge, not so much about the literature, but about, I should think, you'd have thought I'd learned by then, but about how it all fitted together and what it meant, and a lack of critical appreciation. However, I got a 2-1, and Peter Townsend got a first. But he was a very bright spark indeed. Now, coming back to settling into the college, of course it was another world for me, coming from Luton, amidst all these loud public school boys, all full of confidence, in which being at the college was probably hardly more than an extension of their school, with its ancient buildings and traditions and so forth. In my year, our freshmen were about 70, I think, and there were no fewer than 27 Etonians in my year.
Good gracious.
And we had people from other public schools, Winchester and Westminster and so forth. There were 3 grammar school boys. I was one. Terence Bagshaw from Sheffield was another, and a third called Colin somebody, I've forgotten his name. Bagshaw was doing French and Spanish, and this Colin was doing French and Italian. And so the 3 of us used to go for our tutorials with Dr. Ladborough. And I didn't really pay too much attention to French in my first year. I hardly enlarged my reading. We used to go to the lectures in French for according to the papers that we'd chosen to take in the tripos examination. And one of the lecturers was a popular lecturer who always gave a rousing performance, and the lecture theatre was very full because there were a very large number of people studying French. I never considered even going to the French Society because with the numbers it was less cohesive. So the Spanish was really quite a cosy subject to do. I wonder how many people were doing Italian. That must have been a rather bleak scenario for him. But all these, we turned up in the early, right at the beginning, all those who were going to be supervised by Dr. Ladborough, or who came under his kind of supervising tutorship, as opposed to the science tutor and the classics tutor and the modern languages and the history tutor and so forth, even though they were not going to be directly supervised by him, but he had to arrange timetables, and that proved a rather laborious business. I mean, when it was, for instance, when it was proposed to me that could Bagshaw and I go to see Dr. MacDonald at some inconvenient time, we immediately said yes, all right, even though we didn't think it was terribly good. But there was tremendous arguments by one or two of the public school boys, and one of which was really very amusing. He said, can you do your tutorial at 3:30 on a Wednesday? And he said, "Oh, yes, sir. Oh, wait, sir. Oh, yes. Yeah, well, I could." And he said, "No, speak up. If there's something wrong, I mean, we go for some other time." And he said, "Well, it's just that the Beagles meet on Wednesdays." And he said, "Oh, you must go beagling. No, do go beagling. By every account, go beagling." Dr. Labra prefaced his remarks to a dozen of us who were in the room, saying, "Now, are you sure you want to study the subjects that you, according to my list, you're down to study?" Of course, it hadn't occurred to me that one could change subject just like that. And he said, "No," he said, if you can do whatever you like. You can do cybernetics if you wish." Anyway, we all got organised, and amongst all these public school lads, the actual speech, which was new to me in a way. There'd been one public school boy on the jamboree, but I hardly had anything to do with him. He was from Bedford School. But the great adjective of the day was frightfully, rather as everything today is. What is the adjective today? They say unbelievable, incredible. Everything was frightfully good, or that frightfully nice of you. I say it's absolutely frightful. And a very large number of these young masters were all dressed identically in cavalry twill trousers and nicely cut tweed jackets, and the slightly pointed cap was obligatory. And one heard them talking amongst themselves like, if you're too late for breakfast, you just go round the corner and have breakfast at the Pit Club.
Oh, well, they got
All really rather nice, and
yes.
And the odd honourable here and there.
Oh, it was a nice thing to do.
So we settled in and got on with things. It was absolutely wonderful. Peter Townsend at Trinity, I think, in order to stay in college, agreed to share a room with Louis Schaffer, who had been offered a place on the basis of the scholarship exams, first at Keys, and then Trinity took him on. His subject possibly was of interest just in order to make up the faculties, because he was going to do Arabic and Hebrew.
Good gracious.
Because his ambition was to become a diplomat in the, at that stage, newly created Israel. Anyway, they were sharing a room in a rather unattractive building with courtyards across the road from Trinity College, called Whewell's Court. It's a strange name. It was apparently some notable physics don of the previous century. But it was PHEWHELL, Whewell's Court. And quite often we used to start with, as we were sort of finding our way, finding our feet, we were in each other's company quite a lot of the time. We used to go around and have tea together, because the one thing you could get off the ration was Gouda cheese from Holland.
Fancy that.
So we'd have tea each day and so forth. And
oh, how nice.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yes. Well, I've spoken about my Spanish. But further on they've spoken about the Spanish Society, but